Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. I have a book review for you today. Daniela from Uncommon Reader buddy read this book with me, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you. Daniela is doing the exact same over on her channel, so do be sure to check out her own book review of this novel. She has such an eloquent and lovely way of discussing and reviewing books. She's just an absolute delight. So where to begin? This book emotionally wrecked me. Vuong writes with such sensitivity and thoughtfulness, vulnerability. Considering all the horrific things that were happening, here and in the world, while buddy reading this with Daniela, it emotionally wrecked me. And Vuong doesn't shy away from heavy themes, and he has a way with words and the messages he was conveying. It just made reading this at the time we did a politically charged and emotive read, and everything he had to say was very poignant and thought-provoking. This is one of the most gorgeously crafted and written coming-of-age stories I've ever read. I'm such a sucker for this style of storytelling. And this was my second opportunity reading Ocean Vuong. I read The Emperor of Gladness and absolutely adored that book last year. And I couldn't help but, to compare and contrast the two works. They explore similar themes, such as war and sacrifice, and the fight for survival being the most prevalent. The immigrant experience was very relatable, and the devotion to one's family unit, how that's such a core grounding force in a life, and how trauma, despite its mysterious ways of interweaving its way through generations, we can connect and help one another survive and cope and heal through love and understanding. Daniela had a great way of describing Vuong's writing and storytelling as peeling back an onion, and absolutely I agree with that. There were many layers to unravel in this work, and as you follow his protagonist, this young man named Little Dog, as he is writing a series of letters and recollecting memories from his life to his mother, who will never read these letters. And so right from the get-go, it set for a very intimate tone, and made me think as to why this character would be doing this. It's a very intimate thing to unburden oneself, especially to someone in your family that you trust with all your heart. And just that idea was it felt very tragic to me. Yeah, it just got me thinking about why this character was going about writing these letters. It almost felt uncomfortable, as though I wasn't meant to see these letters to begin with. But it also got me thinking, like, perhaps this is therapeutic for the character, as a form of catharsis, to get these thoughts out of his head and onto paper, to let go of them. There were a lot of teary-eyed moments throughout this book, and it definitely felt like a much heavier read than The Emperor of Gladness. There was a bit more balance between heavier topics and humor in that novel than this one. But there are definitely very sweet and tender moments and funny moments in this book. Another aspect about the book, I was constantly picturing a mural being painted as I listened and read along with the book. It really felt as though I was witnessing Vuong painting this mural in real time, and because, you know, his writing and descriptions are so evocative and really do stop you and allow you to pause and ponder. And I also noticed how Vuong utilized a really interesting writing device where he would pinpoint on specific objects, even you know, animals and colors and other sensory things at the beginning of each, you know, vignette, and he would connect those things with, you know, characters or memories or certain people, and that would reinforce or even reshape your perception of that character or the situations they go through. And I found this writing technique very interesting, because it fed into his composition of this, you know, mural. And so through these childhood memories, Vuong is painting a very vivid family portrait of like these really courageous and amazing women who are at the full center of this mural. Having read 2 of his novels, it's really evident and endearing how much of an influence and how deeply his family and their life history, as well as Vietnam's own history, has impacted his writing. From the themes he chooses to explore, to the sensitivity and intelligence, emotional intelligence of his central and even supportive cast of characters. Vuong narrates beautifully, and I have to admit I found it difficult at times to distance himself from his protagonist. It's probably because I was listening to him narrate it, but I could see Vuong as this character. There's a lot of raw emotion and vulnerability in this piece of work, and the moments shared between Little Dog and his family are tender, and Danielle and I really enjoyed these scenes shared between our protagonist and his grandma and mom, and and he juxtaposes these scenes with very intense descriptions that are quite brutal, and you know, his grandma's flashbacks of the American War in Vietnam and what she had to go through. And I love symbolism, and I found that the juxtaposition of the 2 really symbolize the yin and yang of humanity's capacity to love, as well as our capacity to hate and destroy. And it just made me wonder how much of Vuong's own childhood memories he borrowed for this, and put into the book. It really felt as though the line between fact and fiction was blurred here. And but of course, you know, I have always believed that writing is a unique vessel, in that, you know, it takes a piece of the writer's soul, and one must be open in order for that to happen. There's a lot of moments in the book that I, you know, could relate to as a first-generation Filipino immigrant, and being the eldest daughter of a, you know, single mother who hails from a different country. So I felt Vuong was inviting, you know, opening space for more diverse voices, and, you know, showing a different, more relatable, realistic version, in my opinion, of small town America through the Asian diaspora that I really valued and appreciated. This book really solidified Vuong's reputation as, you know, being a master of his craft for me. His writing really does leave an impression on you. You know, the way he evokes sensory moments is just stunning, but you know, without it being saccharine or overly sentimental. It makes one think about existence and how humanity allows history to repeat itself time and time again, and all the innocent lives that are forever changed and altered because of greed and ignorance. But you know, the ending, oh my gosh, the ending, Vuong says so beautifully himself that despite all the horrific events that humanity has a tendency to create, we are what we make of our lives, which I think is a powerful and poignant element to life. As we're faced with decisions every day, Vuong asks, in a way, you know, existential questions such as, how do you live? What is it that makes life so beautiful for the brief time that we are present in it? And how choosing to live is perhaps the bravest thing we can do, despite it all. So that concludes my thoughts with the time I spent with On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Thanks so much for listening. Do check out Daniela's book review on her channel, Uncommon Reader. Take good care, everyone. Bye-bye.